Today is what? What's the day today?
Tuesday, 12.
Oh, it's an election. It's an election day.
Election day is.
Yeah, boy, I had 8 months. Countrymen and women and the youth of our country. The President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, called for the 15th Cabinet meeting in the year 2025 on Monday, 11th August at State House to deliberate on policy and legislative matters so as to enhance national development. The following were approved as cabinet resolutions. 1. The implementation of the 2025 maize and mealie export program. Cabinet approved the export of surplus maize grain totaling 501,620,000 metric tons of it or its equivalent quantity of mealie meal to various destinations in the region. This is premised on the fact that government has pronounced that agriculture is a business. During the 2024-2025 farming season, the country produced an estimated 3.7 million metric tons of maize grain and had a carryover stock of 385,000 metric tons. This implies that the total available stock for 2025-2026 stands at 4.04 million metric tons. The 2025-2026 National Food Balance Sheet estimates the total national requirements for maize grain, human consumption, industrial use and strategic reserves at 3.5 million metric tons per annum. In view of the surplus maize arising from the bumper harvest during the 2024-2025 farming season, Cabinet has approved the exportation of 63,883,000 metric tons of maize grain, part of which is early maize, at 28,883, and maize held by the members of the Grain Traders Association of Zambia, amounting to 35,000 metric tons and a total of 350 1,189 metric tons of mini-meal to some countries within the region. For avoidance of doubt and for clarity, I repeat that paragraph. In view of the surplus maize arising from the bumper harvest during the 2024-2025 farming season, Cabinet has approved the exportation of 63,883 metric tons of maize grain, part of which is early maize, at 28,883 metric tons, and maize held by the members of the Grain Traders Association of Zambia, totaling 35,000 metric tons, and a total of 350,189 metric tons of mini-meal to countries within the region. However, Cabinet emphasized that the national food security should remain priority to ensure that the citizens have adequate food in the country. Cabinet also emphasized the need to ensure that all the maize under the National Strategic Reserves is stored properly to avoid any wastage. In terms of transportation of the maize and mini-meal that is to be exported to the region, Cabinet resolved that Zambian truckers should benefit from the transportation business opportunity. Further, Cabinet emphasized that the Food Reserve Agency should continue and expedite the buying of maize, which is still lying out there with farmers countrywide. Cabinet indicated that the export program will bring in the country the much needed liquidity in the maize value chain and motivate farmers to expand production in subsequent seasons as the country drives towards the 10 million metric tons production target set by President Hakainde Hichilema. 2. Declaration of Wonderful Group Industrial Park, MFES. Cabinet approved the declaration of a portion of the land belonging to Wonderful Group of Companies in Chilanga District, Lusaka Province, as an industrial park. The Wonderful Group Industrial Park is projected to attract companies with a collective investment outlay of United States dollars 2.45 billion and create about 9,650 direct jobs, of which 800 to 1,000 will be chemical engineers. The declaration of the area as an industrial park will, therefore, contribute to transferring of technology and skills, creating job opportunities, accelerating export-led industrialization, creating of forward and backward linkages with other sectors, and integration of business enterprises in the regional value chain. Further, the development of the industrial park will accelerate the attraction of different industries that will reduce the reliance on imported products such as urea fertilizer, glasses, and phosphate products, and thereby conserving foreign exchange outflow. In addition, the industrial park will support phosphate mining in Sinda and Petaoke districts of the Eastern Province, which will be used as raw material in fertilizer production. Currently, phosphate used for fertilizer production is being imported. Therefore, with this investment, the country shall now be utilizing our own locally produced phosphate. Further, the developer is setting up 85 megawatts thermal power plant, of which 45 megawatts will be injected into the national grid. Also, the Integrated Industrial and Agricultural Phosphate Products Factory shall set up a 40 megawatts thermal electricity generating plant, of which 15 megawatts will be injected into the national grid. 3. Declaration of additional land for Golden Baobab Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Kafue District. Cabinet also approved the declaration of an additional parcel of land measuring 200 hectares recently acquired by Golden Baobab Investment Limited, bringing the total to 424 hectares in Kafue District, Lusaka Province, as a multi-facility economic zone MFAZ. This will promote significant investment by both domestic and foreign investment in the country. The various investments in the area will contribute to infrastructure development and will transform an idle part of Kafue District into a manufacturing hub, attracting quality enterprises in manufacturing of assortment of products such as tipper trucks and electric motor vehicles, with an eye to both local and international export markets. 4. National Corporate Governance Code. Cabinet approved the National Corporate Governance Code in order to enhance adherence to good corporate governance principles and practices in the country. The National Corporate Governance Code will further set standards and practices that will guide boards and managements on how they will and should govern their organizations and conduct themselves, as well as show consideration for shareholders and the environment where their businesses operate. Cabinet emphasized the need to strengthen the policy and regulatory framework to support good corporate governance practices in the country. Adopting the National Corporate Governance Code will, therefore, advance the promotion of ethical behavior and standards by corporates in both the public and private sectors, and also enhance government's governance framework on risk mitigation in companies and organizations. 5. Appointment of commissioners of the Zambia Law Development Commission. Cabinet approved a 13-member commission of the Zambia Law Development Commission as provided for by the Zambia Law Development Commission Amendment Acts of 2019 and 2021. The functions of the commission include, among others, to revise and reform the laws, codify unwritten laws, review and consider proposals for law reform referred to the Commission, and translate any piece of legislation in local languages. The appointment of commissioners will therefore ensure continuity in the leadership and operations of the Zambia Law Development Commission. This will invariably result in the efficient and effectiveness performance of the Commission. 6. Performance of the tourism sector. During the meeting, Cabinet also deliberated on the performance of the tourism sector in Zambia. Cabinet noted that the country has recorded massive increase in the numbers of international arrivals and local tourists. Local tourists increased from 239,392 in 2021 to 530,110 in 2024. Let me take that. Cabinet noted that the country has recorded massive increases in the number of international arrivals and local tourists. International tourist arrivals increased from 554,290 in 2021 to 2,199,820 in 2024, local tourists increased from 239,392 in 2021 to 530,110 in 2024. Cabinet observed that the increase in international arrivals could largely be attributed to visa waiver policy regime, the enhanced budgetary support to Zambia tourism agencies, tourism marketing and promotion programs, as well as the government's policy to attract the hosting of major meetings, incentives, conferences and events in the country, and generally the attractive peace and stability that is prevailing in the country, permissive to international visitors to prefer to visit Zambia for tourism and investment opportunities. Further, government has been supporting traditional ceremonies in an effort to promote growth of cultural tourism and boost local communities. Over 74 traditional ceremonies were supported in 2024. Cabinet resolved to continue, therefore, implementing measures to support investment and job creation in the tourism sector. 7. Memorandum of Understanding between Zambia and Botswana on disaster risk management. Cabinet also reflected on the Memorandum of Understanding on disaster risk management entered between Zambia and Botswana on 1st August 2025 during the inaugural bi-national commission held in Lusaka. The Memorandum of Understanding will strengthen collaboration between the two countries in disaster risk management, with an emphasis on joint preparedness mechanisms, infrastructure development, and establishment of adequate response mechanisms. Further, the cooperation would strengthen response capacities such as timely provision of adequate relief material, as well as exchange of best practices within the broader context of global, continental, and regional frameworks in disaster preparedness and response. Cabinet resolved to enter into similar memoranda of understanding with other neighboring countries to enhance cooperation in disaster risk management across borders. 8. Legislative matters. A. The Housing Bill 2025. Cabinet approved in principle to the introduction of a bill in Parliament to provide for regulatory oversight to oversee, guide, and coordinate housing development activities, ensuring compliance with national standards and development activities and regulations, and establishment of the National Housing Development Fund for effective mobilization of national resources towards the development of housing in the country. Government aims to address 60% of the projected deficit of 3.3 million housing units by the year 2030, and further plans to increase the supply of housing units from 73,000 units per year to 115,700 units per year if the housing deficit is to be significantly reduced. B. Road Traffic Honorary Road Traffic Inspectors Regulations 2025. During the meeting, Cabinet also approved the issuance of the Honorary Road Traffic Inspectors Regulations 2025 in accordance and in order to supplement efforts in road traffic law enforcement by the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA, and Zambia Police Service, and enhance compliance. In recent years, Zambia has experienced a significant increase in the number of motor vehicles and expansion of road infrastructure. However, this growth has led to a surge in road traffic accidents and fatalities primarily due to non-compliance with traffic rules and regulations by drivers. Unfortunately, enforcement of road traffic rules and regulations by the Road Transport and Safety Agency and the Zambia Police Service remains insufficient, largely due to limited human resource and logistical constraints. Therefore, the Honorary Road Traffic Inspectors Regulations 2025 give effect to the appointment process for honorary road traffic inspectors, thereby strengthening enforcement capacity under the Road Transport and Safety Agency and the Zambia Police Service. Cabinet, however, emphasized the need for maximum adherence to professionalism in the discharge of services to the public. Cabinet also resolved that the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of Transport and Logistics should ensure to get rid of roadblocks that are unnecessary and those that cause delays to motorists and the traveling public. The Cabinet also expressed concern on the manner that our officers handle the public and urged the ministries relevant to the subject to ensure that officers performing such duties should ensure that they remain professional in the handling of the traveling public. Cabinet also expressed concern and urged the ministries of Home Affairs and Ministry of Transport and Logistics to continue ensuring that officers manning roads and roadblocks do not indulge in harassment of the traveling public and or indulge in corrupt activities. C. Workers' Compensation Funeral Expenses Reimbursement Order 2025. Cabinet approved the issuance of the Workers' Compensation Funeral Expenses Reimbursement Order 2025 to provide for the payment of funeral expenses reimbursement. The approval of the regulations will provide a legal basis for the Workers' Compensation Fund Control Board to pay funeral expenses reimbursement. Currently, the board has been relying on corporate social responsibility as a means of helping workers whose death is a result of injury and disease during their employment tenure. Further, CSR payments are discretionary and may result in discrimination. Therefore, the issuance of regulations makes the benefit an entitlement and a legal obligation for the board to effectively discharge its mandate in terms of funeral expenses reimbursement. The decision by Cabinet will also provide the family of the deceased worker with financial relief, giving them an opportunity to bury their loved ones in a dignified manner. D. Workers' Compensation Pneumoconiosis Charges and Fees Amendment Regulations 2025. Cabinet also approved the issuance of the Workers' Compensation Pneumoconiosis Charges and Fees Amendment Regulation 2025 in order to ensure sustainability of operations of the Occupational Health and Safety Institute in the provision of quality services. The fees were last revised in 2021 and therefore has been a remarkable increase in prices of inputs used to perform medical examinations. These fees are not cost reflective and lead to annual financial deficits, which has the potential to compromise the quality of services provided and place a risk for sustainability. Expansion in the mining, construction, manufacturing and agriculture sectors in the country has also led to significant evolution of occupational hazards and risks in workplaces. This, therefore, demands the Institute to be robust and responsive to modern changes. The issuance of the statutory instrument will, therefore, ensure the sustainability of the operations of the Occupation Health and Safety Institute in the provision of quality services leading to production of occupation diseases and injuries, as well as compensation premiums. Let me now take this opportunity also to indicate that today is the 12th of August, marks 4 years since Zambians decided and elected President Hakainde Hichilema as the head of state for our beloved country, Zambia. Therefore, as government, 4 years of the UPND, New Dawn administration, led by President Hakainde Hichilema, is 4 years of Zambia's freedom. Today, 12th August, therefore, can be called Zambia's Freedom Day, because this is a day Zambians went to cast the vote that made the difference from where we were as a country to where we are today. We also remain cognizant of the fact that the actual day that makes the meaning of this vote, which was given on 12th August, to have full meaning and breadth, was the inauguration day, which we shall commemorate in the next few days. Therefore, 4 years of UPND in government under the able leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema is 4 years of free education, is 4 years for the retention of meal allowances to students at public universities. It is 4 years for the entrenchment of the rule of law, ensuring the end to cadreism, violence and intimidation of public service workers. It is 4 years for the payment to retirees, those who had remained unattended to for many years. It is 4 years now of commemoration of Zambia attaining debt restructuring, which has made it possible for this government to provide free education, to provide cash for work, to expand CDF from 1.6 to 36.1 million kwacha. It is 4 years that has seen infrastructure development through CDF in all the 10 provinces of our country. We are also cognizant, as we celebrate this particular day, that President Hakainde Hichilema came on the note of inheriting a government not just laden with debt, but one where the country, the region and the world was in a state of COVID, from COVID to cholera, from cholera to drought, the worst in living memory that we have seen. And through all these trials, President Hakainde Hichilema has led this country with a very steady and firm hand, leading us to where we are. We look forward to 2026 right around this time. I thank you all and have a good night.